Hi everyone, welcome to a circuit that I've never raced at before, Cadwell Park. And this weekend, we do it for Tom.
Well, as I said, welcome to Cadwell qualifying, and I literally have never been on this track before, not even in a track day, never done testing, so it's quite a bumpy circuit. I've done a bit on Project Cars too, and I just got stuck in, as you saw, getting past Mike McKenzie there and going past Class B Plus rival Ian Blackley, who had turbo boost issues. But I literally had no idea how to tackle this track, so it was a lot of YouTube onboards and doing stuff like the S's here and going up the mountain and the tight and twisty corners. I was learning on the fly and trying to learn very quickly. Some of the curbs are quite bad here as well. In fact, they are absolutely horrific, but what a fun track this is. I'm also pulling to the right here to let a very, very fast Dave Cockle through, who was absolutely phenomenal once again this weekend. So here we go. I suppose at this point I better go into my qualifying lap.
So they've just red flagged the session. I think Simon Light has spun at turn 1 and can't get going again, so they're just recovering him, and Malcolm Wise was off as well, so let's see.
Okay, so here's my actual qualifying lap. The session got disturbed. Don't hate me for it. Here it is. So my first ever time out on Cadwell Park's track got me a time of 1:44.0, which I was actually really chuffed with, and AJ Howe, my estate driving compadre, said it was pretty quick too. So the race had wore on and the car still didn't feel 100%, almost like the brake was dragging, or I just didn't have the oomph that I normally have from the car. And while trying to learn the circuit at the same time, I had a bit on my hands. And I'll be honest, I was mirror watching a little bit, because in the mirrors coming up was a yellow Puma of Ian Blackley. I was currently 3rd in class and 11th overall, and Ian was coming. And he was coming rather fast. Through the field, he started from the back after a boost leak in qualifying, and I knew he was a threat in this race. AJ and Paul Neville, the other people in my class, were way up the road. I couldn't get to them. Learning the track, trying to find out what's going on with the car and get to the finish. So I just plodded on, and then I could see him getting closer and closer and closer. So will Ian catch me before the end of the race? Let's find out. that was close. That was close. Ian was catching me, and he was quick in that little Puma, but the car just didn't feel like it had the oomph for some reason. Well, we did find out later on, but I'll come to that. Anyway, that was a good third in class finish, 11th overall. We had a car drop out in Lucky Christoforou, and James Allen came through, so gained a place, lost a place overall, and stayed third in class. And that little Class C car in front, Steve Primmett, was showing the way to go, but the car didn't feel like it had the power, and I'm still learning the track. So my quickest time in that race was 1:42, so 2 seconds quicker than quali, so I was happy with that. So anyway, so that was race one, a very eventful race one after an eventful qualifying, and considering I've never been round here before, quite proud of myself for that one. There is a reason we're going racing, and that's myself and that man AJ, who's currently bleeding his brakes. There is a reason we're going racing this weekend, as well as being a great part of the Modified Fords. We're doing this for Tom. You would have seen in the previous video, we lost a good friend of ours, Tom, earlier this year. Cadwell was his circuit, it was his local, and it's good to come and put some tyres on the tarmac for Tom. So race one was really good. I did my fastest time of a 1:42 after doing a best time of a 1:44 in qualifying. I'm told a 1:42 is quite respectable, so I'm quite happy with that. More work to come. Race 2 tomorrow, but meantime I've got to spanner check this. Always nice when a Mazda team decides to throw its spare tyres at your car. Anyway, so this is race 2, and that spanner check had, well, revealed a few things. Number one, we had to change another drive shaft, the long drive shaft, purely because Numpty here had put the CV clip on for one of his brand new silicone boots, and everything was absolutely perfect except for the little tab, the bit of excess. Didn't cut that off properly, and it's worked its way sideways, cut into the silicone boot and left a hole, so there was grease everywhere. So we changed that. Yeah, and while we were changing that, I had a look at a plug that was hanging down from a lambda sensor that we'd unplugged on Friday when we carried out some exhaust repairs to the flexi on this before the race weekend, and the lambda wasn't plugged in. So for qualifying in race 1, it wasn't that the brakes felt like they were binding or the car didn't quite feel like it was switched on. Numpty here had forgot to plug the lambda back in, so car was thinking it was cold all the time and wasn't giving me full boost. About 1.1 bar it would give me at the most, because, well, this ECU is packed with some wonderful safety features, like it doesn't want to blow itself up. Anyway, here's race 2, which started off really well.
turbo's spinning, I can hear the fizzing. I can only assume it's a boost pipe or something. Lost boost. I can hear the turbo fizzing, the sound changed, and then I just lost power. So I assume a boost pipe of some sort. Ah!
And that, as I say, was that. Cadwell Park, you have won my heart. What a fantastic racetrack. But this weekend was about a bit more than that, as I keep saying. It was about doing it for Tom. And I said that to AJ every time we went out. Whenever we went out to race, we did it for Tom. And it was a great weekend. Cadwell Park, what a brilliant track. And the fact that after lap 3 I got into the 140s, I was dead chuffed with. So my fastest lap of the weekend was a 140.8. It was that last lap before everything went a bit boostless. Anyway, on to brands.